Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Pitstop Fracas, and we're here to review the Austrian Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen, number 33, has stormed to a scintillating victory. I think it was 18 seconds come the end of it, from second place man Valtteri Bottas, and a very respectable Lando Norris, who ended up in third. Today I'm joined by Richard and Martin. How are you two keeping? Let me come to you first, Richard. How are you doing?
Not too bad, bro. Not too bad. As you know, we had the England match on yesterday. Me personally, I don't really care, do I? As you see by my Jimmy top. But yeah, at least it was a good weekend for well, in some ways for British fans. England won 4-0 yesterday. Lando had the storm in qualifying. George had the storm in qualifying. Lewis, not really. And then, 2 out of 3, got points. So, say a decent weekend overall, really, depending on if you're a fan of whoever.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I watched that England game yesterday. It was good, 4-0. Nice to see England doing well at football for once. And hopefully this time next week, when we're recording next Sunday, who knows? Could be home already, mate. But less said about that, the better. Martin, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Just taking it easy. That's it, really. Yeah. Disappointed by the last 3 weeks, but we move.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I said it off camera as well. These last 3 weeks have not been good for my hairline in any way, shape, or form. This is not good for my hairline, for my stress levels. It's everything, man. Like Lewis and Mercedes need to do something now, man. Silverstone's next, so we're hoping for a big performance from them. But yeah, so if you are joining us on the YouTube, you'd see that we have another special guest with us. Formula One have delivered a triple header, so we've now got our own triple header. We've had 3 guests in a row now in 3 weeks. So I'm very proud to say that we're joined by half of the On The Chicane cast. Paris, welcome to Pitstop Fracas. How you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me, firstly. Missing my other half right now. She's had to nip off for a bit of a family emergency, otherwise she would have been here too. So Mariam, shout out to you. We're missing you this evening. But I'm good. I also am feeling a bit crappy because, the last few races haven't really gone, I'd say Mercedes' way, not just Hamilton's way, but yeah, Silverstone, couple weeks, let's get to it.
Yeah, fingers crossed they can do something, because Mercedes' performance, especially in the last 2 races, is far inferior to Red Bull. And as I said last week, that Red Bull in the hands of Max Verstappen is just something else. But we'll get into that as the pod goes on. Just quickly, Paris, what we do with everyone, any guests that join us, any new cast members, we always ask them their favorite F1 moment, story. So yeah, what's yours?
I think I don't really have a favorite moment, but I do have a most memorable moment. I remember being quite young, like a young teenager. I think it was like 2006, and that race where only 6 cars raced because of the tires. The Bridgestone tires and the Michelin tires. And I quite clearly remember that race thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this has happened in F1. And I think maybe a few years later, they switched to Pirelli anyway, and all of that kind of stuff is gone. So yeah, I don't think I have a favorite moment, because I've just watched it for so long that it's all muddled into one. But definitely for me, one of the most memorable races of the entire time I've watched it.
Yeah, that race was USA 2005. I'm actually referencing a tweet that you put out earlier this week about you respecting those people that can remember Formula One races from 15 years ago. I don't know who tweeted the Pitstop account, but there is a few of us over at Pitstop that are like, know our racing inside out more than the FIA. We're better than AWS over at Pitstop when it comes to memory. There's a certain man, Kunle. He's the older head. He remembers Fangio. You know, you remember
Jim Clark, Graham Mill, you know, all them on there.
All of them.
Yeah, Bertel Scotty. Yeah, could go on.
But yeah, On The Chicane, that's your pod. So you review races there. So listeners, viewers, be sure to check them out. Some good stuff that Miriam and Paris are doing over there. But yeah, enough of the introductions. Let's get into it. So prior to qualifying, Hamilton has penned down 2 years with Mercedes. So he's going to be with us until 2023. Going to come to you first on this, Richard. How was your initial thoughts to that Hamilton signing on for another couple of years?
Well, I was happy about it, to be fair. Obviously, that means we get to see Lewis at least for another 2.5 years, which is always great. But I was just quite surprised, funny enough, of how quick it was, and actually the length of it, really. Funny enough, I seen like a reaction video that they did on the Mercedes YouTube channel, where Toto and Lewis was just basically like discussing it, and Lewis actually said like, even I'm surprised of how quick we managed to sign off this contract, because it's like we feel weird sign off getting this done so early. And even I was thinking the same thing, as like there wasn't even like rumors or anything, as far as I'm aware of, like, or leaks to say, oh yeah, Lewis suspend the contract and it's going to be announced, you know, round about Austria. I thought it might have been announced round about Silverstone. Really, that would have made a bit better sense, perhaps. But you know, that's not here nor there. It also says the amount of faith that he has in Mercedes as well in terms of the new regulations. Like, I always expect him to sign at least a 1-year deal. But the fact that he signed a 2-year deal, I don't know if is that just give him like a grace period in case Mercedes on maybe as good in 2022, perhaps, just to give them another go until 2023. And also it says to me another indication that that might be the last time we might see Lewis, no matter what. He might, because, you know, he wants to start a family, he wants to have kids and whatnot. One of the reasons why he hasn't already done that is because, like, you know, some of his competitors, i.e., you know, Valtteri or Nico, they've like either like left the partners or like, you know, stayed in separate rooms or whatever, wherever, all these underhand tactics just to like go to battle with Lewis. So Lewis is like, okay, if my teammates are doing that, I already know stress as it is. I've got, you know, Cloverland, I'm doing all this activism stuff as well. You know, he doesn't, you know, want the distractions of a kid in mind as well, because I think Vettel's got like 2-3 kids as well. And I don't know if that plays a part in him, you know, not being as good as what he once was, but, you know, that's not here nor there. So yeah, I thought it was quite surprising that Lewis has undenying faith that Mercedes are going to nail these regulations, and that he is even willing to give them an extra year, supposedly, you know, if 2022 isn't the year that Mercedes come back, that he'll go into 2023. So yeah, either way, I'm happy to feel, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. I mean, I know my initial reaction to it was quite surprised, especially the timing of it, because as you said, Mercedes is not performing the best at the moment. There's questions being asked of their current car this year, and then all of a sudden this comes out. You know, their star driver signing on for another 2 years. Martin, I'm going to come to you. Your initial reaction to this, I'm sure, in the group chat was that he's gone in for Martin's left. He got so excited, and the thought of number 10 coming Hamilton's way caused him to run off. All right, he's joined us again. Whilst he's setting up, Paris, let me come to you. What was your initial thoughts with Hamilton signing on for another couple of years?
I mean, really, really similar to Richard. Really, like, my first thought was brilliant. You know, he's kind of giving Mercedes the chance during the new regulation era, and he's thinking, all right, cool, I can get in there. Also very, very surprised that he did it so early. Last time they didn't sign until like January of this year, which is only a few months before the season even started. So I really did expect that to be a much lengthier process. But perhaps he was thinking, well, you know, with the regulations changing, it's not going to make much difference to him if he signs now or if he signs later in the year, because it's not dependent on how they perform this year. So I think that could be a bit of his reasoning. I also thought that perhaps if he had won the championship this year, he would have just like exited with his 8 championships. But maybe as well, because they aren't performing so well, that made him think, all right, well, let me get him for next year just in case, because I think he wants that 8th championship. He wants to be, world champion no matter what. No one else can compare to him. No one can compare him to like Schumacher or whatever, because he surpassed everybody else. So I think that's probably why he got in there, and it didn't make it a difficult, lengthy process. But I knew it would happen. I knew it would definitely happen when I saw him on the yacht with Rosberg and Toto's family. I was thinking, I don't know if you saw those pictures earlier in the year, but he was like vacationing in Monaco with like Toto's family and Nico Rosberg's family. Yeah. And I thought, my first thought when I saw that was like, okay, so Bottas is not part of the family. Like, why is he not there on that boat trip? So I think they were already trying to like sow the seeds of conversation for the signing. And in that sense, I'm not surprised that it happened. I'm just surprised that it happened so early in the year. But my second thought actually was, okay, first seat taken care of, but now what happens to Bottas and Russell? Because Bottas is going to be having to be fighting for the rest of the year for this seat, and really like going out and proving himself. And we've just seen Russell completely outperforming that Williams car this year. So it's going to be tricky.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you touched on the probability that he may not win it this year, so he signed on for 2 more years with the hope that, he can surpass Schumacher's record, is actually a way I didn't even think about it. My initial thoughts coincided with Martin's, because Martin turned around straight away in the group chat and was like, he's going for number 10. I'm sure it was you. Is that right, Martin? You said he's gone in for number 10?
I think it was me. Or might have been Martin.
I don't know.
I've been saying it for a while. I've always said, like, even when he won his 6th, or I think it's from his 6th one, I said he's going to go for 10. I don't see him stopping at 7 or 8. Like, why just do one better? Why not just go for it and try
smash it?
Do something that's never been done before. I mean, yeah, of course, 8 wouldn't have been done before, but if you got like that gap of 3 championships now, that's pretty much near impossible to reach. With the new regulation changes and the cars are going to be more equal, it would be pretty much impossible to reach for any driver.
Yeah. Look, let's see what happens for me. I'm praying for it. I hope he can get number 10. But Lewis, if you're listening or watching, get Toto to turn the engines up now, man. Come on. It's about time you guys turned up the engine. Silverstone's around the corner.
Summer break. They're waiting.
But what we did see, though, guys and girls, in qualifying was a certain Mercedes engine in the hands of Lando Norris was going very quick around that A1. Well, the Red Bull ring. Sorry, I keep referring it to the A1 ring, giving away my age. But Lando Norris, P2. Paris, how did you see that?
I thought that was brilliant. I was like, well done, Lando. I don't even really care about him usually. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not neither here nor there when it comes to Lando Norris. But I do think this year, I think I've shouted him out a couple of times in the sense of just commending him for always placing his car in a good position in qualifying. And the fact that he ended up in P2 in qualifying, P3 at the end of the race, like, I thought that was, brilliant job to him. And I also really thought the fact that he defended himself against Perez in the first lap, when you compare that with what he was doing last week, when he kind of let everybody go past him and he was thinking, well, my race is against the Ferraris, I thought, at least he's saying, well, I'm here now in the present moment, I'm fighting the Mercedes, and I'm fighting the Red Bull, let me actually fight them. So I thought that was pretty good for him.
You know what? We might as well just get straight into it and discuss Lando's performance.
About his lap.
Go for it, Martin.
I think just looking at that lap, it was special. I think there's no other way to describe it. Only one other driver went below 104, and that was Max. and he went 103 twice. I think the first time it got deleted because of track limits, but I'm sure when he qualified, he got a 103 again. Point, I can't remember what it was, but it was a 103 point something. So
he was so close to getting pole. Like in a weird way, I was like, I hope he gets pole just to Max off. Like I just loved it. There was that moment where I think everybody held their breath and was like, is he going to do it?
Yeah, I think he was beating Max as well in the first two sectors, and there was a third sector that let him down. But as we said on the account this week, he's a generational talent, and that's literally it. He's a generational talent, absolutely, and he's shown a lot of growth from the previous two seasons he's been there, where he wasn't exactly the most confident of drivers, but now you're just seeing a completely different Lando Norris, which is great to see, especially for the sport, in terms of all the young drivers coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I've seen with Lando this year is he's just consistently delivered. In the first few races, we were seeing the gap between him and Ricciardo, and a lot of us were like, he's used to the car, he understands it. I think now it's quite clear to see that guy has got, the bit between his teeth. That car, he is hooking up perfectly on Saturday. And even in the race, what we saw today was a fantastic, fantastic drive. I personally, from the last race, was upset that he just let Perez and Bottas go last week. I think he could have done a bit more to defend his position. We understand the strategy, and they were racing against Ferrari. But what we saw today from Lando, especially at the start, not letting Perez get through, forcing him off, I think it was at turn 4, and therefore resulting in a penalty. But yeah, how did you see those open exchanges, Richard, between Lando and Sergio?
Yeah, it was a good battle, to be fair. After turn 1, I think it was, or might have been after turn 3 or something, that run-off area, I think Lando pushed Checo off, basically on that big run-off area, basically. So it was a good scrap as well, especially when you take into account how much faster just about faster this weekend the Red Bull was to the McLaren over at least 1 lap pace. But in terms of the penalty as well, I thought it was quite harsh. I did think it was justifiable at first, but when I see more replays of it, there was no point that Checo was ahead of Lando at any point, and he had command of the racing line as well. It was just a case of, Checo just, going, when you go around the outside of certain corners, certain tracks, you take that risk of just being pushed off, and Checo took that risk and unfortunately lost. But for whatever reason, she just thought it was overly aggressive. It was just hard racing, like how Marco said it. I think Horner said it as well. It was just basically hard racing. It was the same when Checo done it on Leclerc. It was just hard racing. Okay, I don't think there was any need for, in terms of the penalties, for anyone. Well, for Checo or for Lando today. But yeah, Lando done really well. He held off Lewis for 20 laps until he got hit with a 5-second penalty, then got overtaken. But then later on in the race, we seen them go back for Lewis as well. Okay, he had a flawed issue, but even still, he showed really good race pace today and a really mature drive. I actually sympathized with him last weekend, because I thought, okay, he doesn't want that smoke with the Red Bulls and that, because he thinks they're clear. But this weekend, I don't think there's any upgrades or anything, but we managed to see the straight line speed on the McLarens and how quick they actually are. And he was only Land was only half a tenth off pole, and he was actually on course to get pole, because he was leading Max or around about a tenth up until the very last corner. It was only until then that's when he lost the time. But yeah, he's had a brilliant weekend. Honestly, yeah, he's my driver of the day anyway. So yeah, definitely big props to him.
Yeah, I think that's unanimous amongst all of us that driver of the day is Lando Norris. Obviously, we can make an argument for Max Verstappen, but that's not me. I'm not giving Max any props when he has that car, especially with those Dutch fans shouting. It's getting quite annoying.
That was irking my soul all weekend. Oh my gosh! When I saw the flares and the smoke, I was just like, This is going to be a long weekend. A long
when they were, yeah. Hopefully
It was just
Silverstone in a couple
irritating
of
me.
weeks.
They need a name. They're like an army. They need like a Max Verstappen name for their armies. They're so weird.
Are they
Like,
not called Max Army or something? I don't know.
are they? Ugh, no,
feel like
I need
I
a
don't
collective
know,
name to
Orange
hate them
Army?
all at the same time.
Paris, you summed it
Verstappen
up
posse, I don't
perfectly.
know.
It's like all all Verstappen fans this weekend were like programmed to wear the same thing. Like, oh, you have to wear an orange t-shirt, be a Max Verstappen fan, let off a flare now and then, have a couple of beers in your hands, and just and just shout as loud as you can. Whereas,
can't lie,
as you
yeah.
meant,
No,
yeah,
go on,
go on,
sorry.
what were you going to say? So, I think whereas at Silverstone you would get like, different types of flags. You get like a Union Jack, you get all types of fans.
Yeah.
I think this weekend was just like everyone's program. 130,000 people wear an orange t-shirt, maybe a sunglass so you don't get sunburnt, and beer in hand. But yeah, what were you going to say, Richard?
Now, I can't lie. To be fair to those fans, they really do back the boy. Honestly, like no matter what you think of Max, like the like home and away, like home and away, basically, yeah. Like they really do go in their drums to back him, no matter what. Okay, you can say that the star of him because the last Dutch driver that they had was obviously his dad, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, it's been a minute, and even ever had one this good as Max. So to be fair, the atmosphere did look kind of lit as well. It'll be good if Lewis had that sort of atmosphere, but obviously you get the more conservative, waving a British flag and the kids screaming. It's not as lit, to be fair. So to be fair to them, yeah, it's a good atmosphere, even if you don't like Max.
Don't worry,
imagine
Martin.
If Lewis had an army all this time, like all the 14 years that he's been in Formula One, like if he had people showing up for him the way people show up for Max,
it
would be so
They're all
different.
on Twitter. They're all on Twitter. That's it. They're all on Twitter.
Tweeting away. Don't worry, Martin.
With that 50 million a year salary.
I think, we could do a few tickets, but Martin, we've got 2 more races of this to deal with. We still got Zandvoort coming up, and then Spa, and I'm sure the Max Army will be there in strong numbers. COVID pending, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, with regard to Norris though, as he went throughout the race, obviously he was hit with the 5-second penalty, but he showed strong pace throughout, and he definitely was capable of rubbing shoulders with the big boys. Final question on this, I'm going to come to you, Paris. Do you think McLaren can keep this up for the rest of the year, especially when you consider they've started to use a few of their tokens now? How do you see it panning out for him for the rest of the year?
At the moment, they're doing much better than the Ferraris, aren't they? So I think even Ricciardo, he started in 13th and finished in 7th. So he seems to be getting a bit more comfortable with the car. And I said this, a few weeks ago on our pod, that on our YouTube, that I think he needs that time. And when he's more comfortable, and then Lando's also, doing the great job that he's doing, they can start strategizing and doing tag teams and beating the Ferraris. So I don't know. I think the second half of the season is going to be a real good one to watch for that little battle between them. And with Gasly kind of in there, if Tsunoda can also kind of pull up his bootstraps and stop doing the stuff that he's doing, then maybe we could have a really, really good midfield battle going on. So, because Gasly is always up in there, do you know what I mean? So I think, like car-wise, McLaren have set themselves up really well this year. And whatever they've done, they need to keep going. I think, the Mercedes power unit's working for them as well. Might not be working for Mercedes as much, but it's working for them for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Paris, you touched on Danny Rick there, and he was in the wars. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't in the wars. He was he was ahead of that midfield battle, and what we saw was Sergio Perez kind of in the wars with Leclerc today, and I think he got hit with 2 5-second penalties for pushing Leclerc off track. It was Leclerc twice, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was
if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was.
What did you make of Perez's performance today? I've let me come to you on this, Martin. You knew I was going to come to you. The way you flew off mute there, you knew I was going to come to you.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
go for it.
As the second chair in the Perez fan club of the pod, the other one is miraculously disappeared this weekend. She couldn't make it for some reason. Always misses.
Isn't it? Is it? I heard is it Love Island this weekend? Was that the reason why?
Who knows?
Streets up confirmed. Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh, it's Love Island.
I just realised, guys, we've got to hurry up. Love Island's in 10 minutes. I'm joking.
No, but with Checo, it was a very disappointing race from Checo. I've seen we know he could do a lot better, and I think he showed a lack of maturity today. He was being overly aggressive at times. I genuinely don't know what he was trying to do. I think if it wasn't for the fact that Lando holding up the Mercedes boys as well, and that allowing Max to get that 10-second lead, and he had him in that fast car, it would have really had hampered any strategy Red Bull would have put in place today. And yeah, I think it looked more like those Checo at the start of the season, where he was like really not comfortable in the car. I'm not sure of his previous results in Austria, but I don't think he actually does very well in Austria anyway. I don't think it's not one of his favorite tracks. So there's no real excuse for what happened today. I think Checo, would have been up. He's a candidate for the Mazepin Award. I just think it was just a bad drive overall. And to get 2 5-second penalties, I mean, yeah, I know the FIA was just handing out those penalties like Oprah, but it's just not good. It's not good. We've got to fix up Checo.
I think if you're in a Red Bull pit wall at the start of the day, you would have seen this as a real great opportunity to have a 1-2. And I think going into that first lap, I personally think Checo should have just been a bit more conservative. I think he has the car underneath him to have overtaken Norris, even though it proved hard for Hamilton. Yeah, just bide your time a bit. Yeah. And then I really think they could have executed that perfectly, Red Bull, and ended up with a 1-2. But, where did he finish, Perez? Did he finish sixth?
Yeah.
After the penalty
stopped on, yeah.
Yeah, he finished sixth. So, I think they missed out on a whole lot of points there.
He did well to get back into fifth, and to even just build like a gap between him and was it Ricardo? I think Ricardo and Sainz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sainz finished within 9.5 seconds.
Yeah,
so basically under a second, I think it was.
Yeah. So he just about got through. So he did well enough to finish ahead of Ricardo and the rest of the pack. But as I said, if you're in the Red Bull, and we saw the pace of the Red Bull that weekend. It just wasn't a good weekend for Checo. Even in qualifying, he was just qualifying. He was not good. Even in free practice, he wasn't great either. I think he really needs to really focus on in the future races on that Saturday qualifying. Because not every time is the pace of the car going to get you out. And I hate to say this, but it's going to look like a Bottas situation in which you're relying on the pace of the car rather than your skill as a driver to get you out of certain situations. And that's not what we want to see from Checo, because we know he's a great driver.
No, exactly. Fully agree with you there. You caught me as I was taking a sip of water, Martin. But I just want to move swiftly on it and just touch on the battle that he had with Leclerc. Richard, I know you got a lot of time for Charles Leclerc. What did you make of that? Was that enjoyable racing for you? Was it fair racing?
Yeah, it was enjoyable racing, to be fair. It was good to see, as someone said on Twitter, not put up with Leclerc's shite anymore, because he seems to, if the tables were turned and he wouldn't have received any penalties, I don't know why, but what you can say is you can't spell Ferrari without FIA. Take of that what you will. So
That's a good one. That is a very good one.
They were sponsoring their podiums today, innit? Ferrari.
What was it?
I think it was their Ferrari. I think they got like their champagne brand or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Podium today.
But technically, no, it's not champagne. It's just sparkling wine because champagne can only be champagne if it's from Champagne. Just little life lesson.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah,
that just confirms. But by the way, that just confirms that as Paris alluded to earlier, when Hamilton was on the yacht with Rosberg and Toto, Richard was also there supplying the champagne and drinking the champagne as well.
The champagne.
So yeah,
yes,
that's all
that
that
was
confirmed
me.
as well.
That was me.
But yeah, continue, Richard.
Yes.
Continue.
Yeah, sorry. Just touching on Checo and Leclerc. You know me. If listeners know, I love an agenda against Leclerc. But to be fair, even for me, this was hard to like pick his side in this. But I feel that he got done over in terms of by Checo. I feel that in both occasions, just marginally, he was ahead of him before getting pushed off. So when that usually happens, especially on the outside, you're supposed to give him room. But Checo, in a more or less desperate situation, he wasn't having that. I don't know if he took note of.
I don't agree at all.
What in terms of desperation or what?
Yeah, in terms of desperation. I think Leclerc was a bit messy as well. Like, he was all over the back of Checo's car, coming.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Swinging to the right, swinging to the left. Like, Checo's looking in both mirrors, trying to figure out where Leclerc's coming from. Leclerc's doing scrappy-doo like he always does. And then, he's trying to figure out where he's coming from. So, yeah, probably he didn't leave him enough space. But I don't think it was totally Checo's fault. I think it was more Leclerc's fault. Even Checo said afterwards, I don't race like that. I'm not usually, like, that kind of aggressive. Yeah. I feel like it was a response to Leclerc's form.
No, that's actually a good point. To be fair, as I said, I'm not saying it's 100% Checo's fault. I'm not saying it's 100% Leclerc's fault. I said it was more like a racing incident. But if you had to like blame someone, like lean towards Charles or Checo, I probably lean just a bit more towards Checo, just because there was opportunities twice in both instances where Charles was ahead, and inadvertently he's just been pushed off. Now, with the first incident, luckily Charles managed to read it and managed to back off enough, not for him to drop down 7 places relatively. So when he's then attacked him again, luckily there hasn't been that much of the tires on the gravel for him to like spin or have accidents or whatever. So as you said, Checo was not really that sort of person as well. That's the funny thing. But I think there was a bit of desperation in there as well. I think because he was running comfy in like third, and then we shot back 7 places. He wants to do well for Red Bull, like especially in their home like a home ground, if you will. So there was a bit of desperation, to be fair, in my opinion. But as I said, I feel it's more of a racing incident and just good hard racing. But at the same time, I think both drivers probably need to do better in terms of analysing, overtaking moves to go for, and spatial awareness, basically. So
yeah. I think as soon as Max was off in the distance after the first couple of laps, I was just focusing on that midfield battle to see some action, and it was really enthralling to see. Obviously, Danny Rick, I think Vettel was in there, Sainz was charging through at the end, Leclerc, and obviously Perez. So yeah, it was really good for me to see that midfield battle today. I just want to turn our attentions though to what some people call the golden child of Formula One. He's got a soft spot in a lot of people's hearts, and I was actually wishing him on this weekend. I thought after last weekend, suffering that power unit failure, he had a new one in his car this weekend. But obviously talking about GR63, George Russell, he ended up with a net 8th position in qualifying 3, but unfortunately dropped back to P12 at the start of the race and eventually ended up P11 after a good battle with Alonso. Paris, going to come to you. What did you make of Russell's performance this weekend?
I was really hoping that he was going to make it to the end. I was like, coming for those points. Yes, come on, Russell, do this. Do your thing, because he did so well. Like, he made it into Q3. I think across just the whole weekend, he did really well. And when you consider his teammate, you know, Latifi doesn't do half of what George does in that Williams. So it just shows, like, you know, his skill, I guess. And I think he's always robbed. Something always happens to him. I don't know what it is, but, you know, he never manages to kind of see it through and get some points. So I was disappointed for him, definitely. And I blame Raikkonen. I don't know what else to say.
Martin, you had a lot to say about Russell last weekend.
Yeah, I did.
What do you make of his performance this weekend?
This is exactly what I was saying I want to see from Russell, basically. I think that battle he had with Alonso is what I personally wanted to see. I know other cast members still wouldn't have changed their minds on George Russell yet, but this is the type of thing I said. Like, I see him when I see a lot of Russell. Yeah, you can do it on a Saturday. That's great and all, but maximizing the power for one day on one lap pace. I mean, it's hard to do, but it's not what you need for race day, basically. And what I saw today was him really getting everything out of his car and really defending his position. Like, I took Alonso 2 or 3 laps to get past him, and just to go up against someone with the IQ of Alonso is no mean feat in itself. Like, Alonso's trying every trick in the book to get around him, and George is just defending his position. And I think that really impressed me this weekend. I will say that. Whether it's enough for the Mercedes seat, we don't know. It still hasn't changed my mind just as yet, but I say it's good. It's good. It's good looking at the moment. It's looking good at the moment for him. I say it was a good response from last week and the week before, I think, or in past races where I don't feel like he does the best and gets the best out of the Williams on a race day. Whereas I feel like today he probably did that on a track where he's able to. It's not, yeah. So,
yeah.
Can I just correct myself there? I meant to say I blame Alonso, and I was also going to say that if you take Alonso and Russell's fight and compare it to Perez and Leclerc's fight, I feel like the way Alonso and Russell were doing that is how it should be done.
Yeah, definitely. That was clean, exciting racing, especially between Russell and Alonso there. Last but not least, Richard, what do you make of Russell this weekend?
Yeah, I thought on the Saturday he was superb, to be honest with you. The fact that he managed to get it into Q3, on
Q3 on mediums.
Oh yeah, on mediums even. Yeah, the fact that he managed to get on Q3 on mediums was amazing. Actually, to be fair, with that Williams car, I know people say it's a terrible car and whatnot. I actually don't think it's as bad as what people make it out to be, especially on like one lap pace. I feel that it's just because the Latifi's so trash. It looks like George is some sort of miracle worker, and that he's overperforming the car.
Yeah, with that with reliability issues as well. I'd say Williams have more of a problem with their reliability issues. But as I said, they're using a lot of Mercedes parts in this car now.
Yeah,
so
gearbox, engine. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the only thing they have to really work on is the aerodynamics, and George is doing well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, as I said, over one lap qualifying, maybe it's just this track. I don't know, maybe it's because it's an easy track per se. Over one lap qualifying, it was looking like, the 5th fastest or whatever. Like, honestly, it's not as bad as what.
But it was.
Fam, you got to 9th.
If you were, okay. If you were thinking that way,
that's
then,
a hypothetical, not.
Yeah.
Did you see the graphic where they broke down the times of each team in each sector?
Yeah,
and Williams was like ahead of Mercedes in 2 of those sectors. So it was quick this weekend. It was a quick car this weekend. So it's like, it is literally Latifi. Like, he's a ghost.
Latifi doesn't get the maximum out of his car. I don't think he even gets 50%. That's why it just looks like George is, as I said, he's go and do an overtime for community service. You know, it's just it's just one of them, isn't it?
So I had it on my
I
had it on my notes today. Yeah, that I'm going to ask what one of you guys a question. Will Williams score a point this year? But I just got to rephrase that. Like, I want to come to you, Paris. Will George Russell get a point for Williams this year? Forget Latifi. Will George Russell end up getting a point for Williams this year?
I definitely think he will. Yeah, I think it's coming. It could have come today.
It should have come today. I think it should have come today, especially with the new power unit and after everything that's happened for him. But fingers crossed, there's still a few more races left this year for him to do it. We might as well come on to the Mazepin Award, whichever way you want to look at it. There's quite a few candidates, isn't there? There's Yuki, there's Ocon, there's Kimi. Who are we going for? Richard, Mazepin of the day.
I'm gonna have to give it to Kimi. You know, Ocon, that wasn't his fault. It was just Giovinazzi just broke his the crankshaft, like the wheel just turned in, basically, and it wasn't to do with Ocon. He was sandwiched in. There was nothing he could do. So I definitely can't give it to Ocon, even though qualifying wise he was horrendous.
He was poor.
Yeah, he was, like, as I said, people have been saying he's been turning into Aubameyang since he signed a new contract.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. As soon as he signed, he thought, yeah, I'm eating good. I'm here for the next 3 years. I don't need to do that on. I mean, I know if you want to try to get that Mercedes seat, it's looking like a big myth now. We also said Yuki, my stream cut off for like a good 15 laps. So I didn't even know that he had 2 5-second time penalties for the same thing. I know we got the one.
Yeah.
I just thought, okay, that's weird. So when he found out he done it again, I think you literally just got a penalty for doing that same thing early on in the race. What are you doing? So, yeah, Yuki's definitely a strong contender, 100%. Especially since he dropped 5 places. He qualified 7th, and up, I think, 12th, was it? Yeah, 12th. Well, okay, that's adding time penalties as well. I have to give it to Kimi, you know. Like, honestly, he just needs to retire. Like, he's taking the absolute piss. How are you taking out Seb on the last lap? And it wasn't even Seb's fault. He just literally almost like drove into him and just took him out. Like, I didn't understand it. Like, he's had brain farts like this before. He did it in Portimao, didn't he, with Gio, because he's playing with something on the steering wheel. He's literally the most experienced Formula 1 driver of all time.
Yeah. Like,
he's been through so many errors and so many different cars and whatnot. Like, how does it got to the point where, you know, he was so amazing back in 03 and 05 for McLaren? So now, all these years later, he's doing the most basic shit. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's just that it's weird. If Alpha, because apparently Alpha are giving him the option to whether to stay on or not. Alpha are not a serious team. They're really not a serious team. They need to say to him, Kimi, thanks for your service, but it's time to just hang up your boots, hang up your gloves, and just, you know, call in Hulkenberg or like Ilos or, you know, even like Porsche in F2. They can't look to move forward if they haven't Kimi. Gio was actually smacking them up in qualifying and in races. So you can't use the experience thing, because what's experience getting you? No points.
Like, has he got shares in the team or something? Like, what's his... He's got like
he started out with a minute, so there's that sentimental value, isn't it? But at the same time, how long...
There's like monetary things in there too. That must be the only reason.
Yeah, as Mart said, like a couple pods ago, like, you know, with clouds in terms of, like, your trophies and whatnot, how long does that actually last for? You can kind of say the same thing to Kimi. He's the last person to win a world championship for Ferrari. You know, that was back when baggy jeans was a thing. You know, in 07. Like, why does he still have a Formula 1 seat? He's not. It's not like he's doing all these mad performances, because he's not. He's literally racing like a 40-year-old or however old he is. So, yeah, I'm sorry. You're going to have to give it to him, because, yeah, it's criminal. Awful weekend.
When in his second stint at Ferrari, how many race wins did he get? Was it just one?
One. Just one in Austin. That's it, yeah.
USA 2018. Yeah. That's not spoken about enough either. Yeah, he just got one race win.
That's that big fact, yeah.
But yeah, I'm just watching back again, that collision on the last lap. That's criminal. You can't be doing that at that stage of the race. This shocking. Martin, Mazepin of the day. You gonna go for Kimi?
I mean, if it had any type of like impact, then yeah, I would have said Kimi. But it's like they're not really racing for anything, are they? So it's just they're racing for position. So I think I'm gonna have to give it to Yuki for me. I just think how can you get caught for doing the same thing twice? Same thing twice. They call you 4K once, and they call you 8K again.
And 8K again. And 8K UHD, yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense, man. And it's like Yuki's just doing these things every week now. There's always something that Yuki's doing every week, and yeah, I don't think he's quite ready for the F1, and I think they might just have to. They might make him a reserve driver for next season, and before they bring him back into the fold again, because there's questions where he lost the season, and it's just he's young.
It seems like he's getting too hot. He's getting too frustrated under that helmet. I think he's just swearing. Oh, I've seen that.
Been like this since
same mistake twice.
Early on, it's been like this since I can't remember, it was Portimao, wasn't it? It's the fourth race.
Yeah.
You're saying I'm faster than the car. What the hell does that mean?
Dude,
how can you be faster than your own car?
You don't say that.
It's all these stupid comments like that doesn't help his case.
He's called out AlphaTauri that how many times now? He's blamed the engineers. He said, he said Gasly's car is faster, which might be the case, but who knows? It's just I think he had that week where they sent him back to the factory to recalibrate him, and it worked for one race, and then it just hasn't seemed to. He's gone back into old ways, isn't it? So
yeah, he was calm last week. Like last race, I think he started 8th, finished 8th. Like he was very just like mellow, and then it seems like he's back on his shit this week, to be honest. But yeah, for me, my Mazepin Award is not gonna be him though. Actually, weirdly,
who is it?
Perez.
Yeah,
and I love Perez, but I had to kind of give it to him. I think just for managing to get 2 5-second penalties, like against Leclerc as well. And I think what you were saying, Anik, is the truth. Like he should have just mellowed himself a bit at the beginning of the race, bided his time a little bit. Then he wouldn't have even been in that position. Regardless of who's like more at fault during the racing, which I was saying earlier that I think it was a bit more Leclerc's fault. But the fact that Perez was even in that position in the first place, which was caused by his first lap fight. So I feel like he lost out big time there. He could have been on the podium. You know, he could have had a really, really good race, but instead he was battling in the midfield, scrapping the scrappy do. So.
Yep. So Perez then for you, I mean, as I said, for Red Bull really, and at their home race, this was a real big opportunity for them to collect maximum points. It really would have made a statement. I mean, the gap now between Red Bull and Mercedes is 44 points. Driver standings, 32 points. Look, let's see what happens the rest of the season. What did Toto Wolff come out and say after the race? I don't know if he was joking, but what did he turn around and say? He said something like, this weekend was all about damage. Yeah, this weekend was all about damage limitation. We'll go to Silverstone, blow everyone away, and finish 1-2. I mean, I don't know if he's trolling, but let's hope for that, especially from my point of view. But yeah, guys, that's all we have time for today. Paris, final thing from you. Anything you want to plug? Obviously, you want to plug On The Chicane, but anything else?
Definitely going to plug On The Chicane. So yeah, catch us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, hopefully coming to a TikTok near you very soon. And we'll be covering the Silverstone race live because me and Mariam are going to be there. So yeah, check us out at On The Chicane on all of our socials. And I think that's it really. Everybody else can big up some other stuff if they want.
Yeah, obviously you got to do the nice stuff if you're following us on YouTube. click the like button, subscribe, follow us at Pitstop Fracas, jump in on the Discord. Race day is always good fun there. But yeah, Silverstone, Paris. Please make sure when you go down there, you make more noise than the Dutch fans, and mix up the chants as well instead of this same sort of roar that they were doing. Yeah.
What color t-shirt should I get? Like the Mercedes blue or purple for Lewis? Like I need to do something.
I think you should go for a black t-shirt with a white and green trim. Perfect Mercedes colors. Okay. I think that. But yeah, that's all we have time for. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode for you. It's been a pleasure recording this one today. Thank you very much, Paris, Richard, Martin, as ever. Thanks a lot. And
thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. So yeah, until next time, guys. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.